Morning, traders. Welcome to the pre-market analysis for the public every single Wednesday. Thanks for joining us this morning. This is Spartan speaking, by the way. It's a little bit of a breakdown of what's going to happen once I'm done here. So Beth's going to come on and give you a breakdown of the macro environment, any news events that happened over the course this evening. She'll also be going through any of the bigger picture items, commodities, ETFs, bigger cap names that make sense to be looking at today or in the short term. Once that's done, I'm going to come on. We're going to be going through the names that I'm looking at individually that are gapping up, gapping down. We'll be building an action plan for those names and going through the technicals on them as well as the news on those gaps. We'll also be going through the SPY, the FANG, and the Qs, VIX, and IWM. After that's done, I'm going to go ahead and pass over to South Beach, and he'll be going through the analyst calls he's looking at for today, as well as money flow and macro environment. And then I'm going to come back on. We'll take a quick look at those names that we talked about this morning, the pre-market action plan that I've typed up, and then we'll be ready to go. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Beth, guys, and I will talk to you shortly. Beth, it's all yours.
I am indeed. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. Welcome. Pre-market here at SpartanTrading.com. Wednesday, live YouTube stream going on right now. You cannot start screen while the other participant. Spartan, can I thank you? Okie dokie, let's do it. Let's have some fun. All right. Yeah, well, I got my crank on over Netflix, so that should not surprise anyone, right? API crude was a draw instead of a bill. Like I said, this is a walk on the wild side. This is a random walk theory, right? Loans. Once again, China's got a problem. I can't keep saying this enough. Until they do something dramatic, shock and awe, they got a real problem. That's just reality, okay? IMF World Bank spring meetings, they've already lowered in terms of their forecast for GDP global. I think it's high still too, but anyways. PPI year over year, Germany, 30.9%. That's right, 30.9%. Remarkable, stunning. Month over month, 4.9%, much higher than forecasted. Yay! Mortgages, see that. See what happens with existing home sales. Bundesbank, not Nagel's going to be speaking. All right, and then we get our crude daily. I mean, seriously, Evans. But we do have the beige book coming out this afternoon. This can move the market. Be aware of that. Right? And then obviously the meetings, yada, yada, yada. Let's take a look at our whisper report. I didn't do it out yesterday because, well, I was busy. I forgot about it. Senior moment. Anyways, what do we got for April? Fascinating. The surprises are below what's normal, which is really interesting, right? But the guidance is above. Whisper surprises is above. Revenue surprises is above. Okay, and then let's take a look here. The analyst outlook is flat. These guys are really wrong. Advanced decline is starting to get bullish. Guidance is flat. Upgrades, downgrades, this is exactly what happened in 2018, October, November, December. All the upgrades, downgrades, there were so many downgrades that then all of a sudden there were surprises because the expectation, the bar was lowered so much, right? Well, anyways, money flows starting to get better as well. We like it. You know the drill. We're starting, this is just the beginning. We're very excited about it. Here's the map. Next week, let's do it. Visa, Alphabet, UPS, Ford, Meta. This is it. Next week, this is it. A lot of oil names. Let's do it, right? So, this should not be a surprise to anyone in terms of what's driving this market. Right? And what's driving this market is consumer staples, healthcare, energy, well, you know the drill. That's not going to change. Last week, positive earnings was up, while down less, the least amount down. Earnings momentum down, 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 down. Money flows past month. You can see what's going on. Past week, materials, energy, industrials, and then everything else. Well, you get the drill. Anyways, it's going to be fun, right? Let's take a peek. All right, so what am I looking for? This is nice. Some of these are really just knocking it out of the park. For me, the growth has to be above 10%, but ideally, I think if you look in terms of the S&P, I believe it's 15% growth is what they baked in on a lot of these things. I don't know what it is now, but that's what it was at the beginning of the year. So that's what you're looking for. So ABT, Antm, Antm. The other piece of this component is, and it should not be a surprise to anybody, is guidance. I get very, very cranky and disappointed when they don't increase the guidance. That is a huge headwind when that doesn't happen. You've got the tailwind, right? But the headwind is this. So we'll see how things play out, but you know the drill, right? All right, so let's talk. The construct of hard landing, soft landing. Hard landing complements of Volcker. Well, actually Burns did it too, but it's only talking about this. This is what a hard landing looks like. Okay, and basically you crank it up, you put the market, everybody into a recession, yada, yada, yada. This is the shock and awe that Bullard wants. Do not underestimate, this is what he wants, okay? This is the soft landing approach. I don't know if it's possible, to be honest with you. All right, so there was an op-ed on the Wall Street Journal that basically called out, this was last week, that basically called out Powell and said his nose was kind of growing, right? Because of what he was choosing, right? So this is what Powell was using as his example, 65, and then yada, 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 okay? But he omitted mentioning the tightening cycle, which crashed the economy, 73 to 75, 90, 91, 2001. And this would be equal to what Bullard wants to do. All three were precipitated by the Fed tightening cycles. Fed fund rates jumped from 5.5% to 9.5%, 6.5% to 9.5%, and 4.75 to 6.5. Guys, where are we on the Fed funds? Fed funds should be at 5.5%, 5.5% to 6.5% in this cycle. That's where they should be because of where we are in this cycle. This is why the statistical probability of a soft landing is null. Just saying. Okay, sectors. Well, the 200-day moving, surprise, energy, 93% utility, staples, REITs. So what's going on? Evan's comfortable. God bless. Bostic worries of high grade, too cool to inflate. It's a shit show. Netflix slaps as well they should. I mean, Netflix hasn't even reclaimed the 13 EMA. Okay, since the sell-off. Netflix, 13 EMA, triple top, not looking good. Until it reclaims the 13 EMA, I'm sticking with my puts, my hedges, okay? I like IBM. We mentioned it yesterday, right? Because there was on someone's list as a trade for 2022, and I actually got in some longer dated stuff as a result of that. We'll see. All right, Italy is ready to halt Russian gas payments. God bless. IMF sees global economic slowdown. We know. Japan stimulus to include cash for low-income households. They should. Macron's polling lead over Le Pen winds ahead of France's Sunday runoff. Okay, whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like here in the States. I mean, they need new blood. Fed's Cash Curry says China's lockdowns could drive more U.S. policy action. Kalanovic. Okay, I don't want to do smack talk, but seriously, time is right to buy growth in value stocks, right? Guess what? Runaway commodity prices, the original global sector, and the reason, anyways. Now saying that growth is, you got it, commodities, energy, utilities, consumer staples, yeah. US natural gas is on a path to crazy. I don't like it when people talk this way. We've been doing very well with our oil. We sold at the highs, close to the highs, the most of it. We started buying back on the dip that I shouted out. I'm a little bit concerned about it, and I'll show you why. But we'll just, and what I might do is I'll just use my KOLD as hedges against it. Okay, so that's how we're going to play that. Aims to expand access to student loan debt for forgiveness for millions of people. You know what? Okay, let's talk about this. I don't want to, please don't smack talk me. But anyways, just think about the disposable income that would be available if basically the government offset the student loan debt. Okay, just think about the money that could be spent on the economy if they didn't have these payments to the student loan debt. Okay, I know you say, well, it's like quantitative easing. I don't care, whatever. The reality still is what percentage of people, young adults, okay, who went went to college, basically are part of this economy and basically are straddled with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of student loan debts. You take that off, the burden off their shoulders, their back, just saying. Anyways, don't shoot me. Okay, what's going on here? This is the end of the year, okay? It hasn't really moved much. So bullet's really not impacting anything. If anything, this is moving up a little bit more to 2.25%, 2.5%. I'm telling you, it should be 5%. Bullet's light when he says 3.5% by end of the year. All right, not going to happen. He's just one vote. Right. Anyways, not really moving. If anything, it came in. So this is where the money's flowing to if you're a betting person. Now, granted, okay, yeah, just not working. Wall Street Journal, let's take a peek. So, okay. Deservedly so. What are the rules? The rules are any company that misleads into earnings, does not come out ahead of earnings, and basically lower guidance, whatever, basically signals to the market what's going to happen, gets punished. 25 to 30% punished. That's the rules. Netflix knows better, right? Hell hath no fury when you do this shit. I'm just saying. Okay? Just saying. Hi. I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest with you, with Tesla. I don't know. I think it's going to be a premium burn, to be honest with you. Lululemon. Okay, this is how you do it. This is my 2022 fan favorite right now, aside from commodities and stuff like that. Lululemon, walking the walk, talking the talk, doing it. God bless. This is what it looks like. This is how you basically, the market rewards you. Procter & Gamble. Great earnings, raised guidance, yada, yada, yada. All right, yesterday. Yesterday was the first day we saw the breadth of the market. Look at this, isn't this beautiful? Look at the depth of this breadth. We have not seen this in, well, this is a rarity in 2022. Where's the money coming from? Agricultural, commodities, large cap pharma. This should not be a surprise, right? Do we get another day in it? I don't know. This is the only way this market rallies is if we get this sort of breadth, okay, across so many different sectors, okay? That's the only way it happens. All right, well, they're widening out their meme. Now Silvergate, 1.31 million KB Homes, Lennar, Space, Novavax, DraftKings. These are the only ones that had volume above the average. This is not what they're doing. What they're doing like the CVMs. They're doing these, the retail, these meme guys are evolving. The retail's evolving and they're being successful in their evolution. They're getting away from the Tesla and NVIDIA. They're getting into these low float, small caps, mid caps, and basically doing the options on it, and they're being successful. Netflix, anyone surprised? ACC, that was their buyout. ASML, CMG, Disney, IBM, Sony, Toge, Tesla. I love it. Okay. I wanted to see, let's just for shits and giggles look at Netflix. Okay. Okay. Reed Hastings. Hasn't done anything but 20 million bucks, but he sold 213 million on the option side. I don't feel sorry for this dude at all. Just saying. What do we got going on over here? Anything interesting? SUP, SHMP. Not really. Not a lot. Got this Trex. Insider Cells. Marvell. Okay, that's interesting. When was that? Yesterday? Wayfair had insider cells. Now these were options, okay? So that was tied to stock options. So they were just selling the stock options. CPE was not. The LFS was not. Netflix, downgrade. Netflix, downgrade. This is interesting, KGC downgrade, OBC, IAG. So they're downgrading the gold. This is notable. And the reason why I say that is because the Canadians are the best of the best when it comes to this stuff on the analyst side, when it comes to precious metals. Okay, so that gets my attention when OBC does that. Netflix, yay, Netflix, yay, Netflix, yay, 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 whatever. Peloton. Google. This is interesting. Google into earnings. Facebook into earnings. Somebody, well, in theory, someone already knows something, right? In theory, Snap, Airbnb. Anyways, what are our peeps up to today? Let's take a peek. Not a lot. EX this Exelon, JP Morgan, 60% success rate. 8% upgrade, downgrade, whatever. Anyways, let's move on. All right, so this is a round tripper, right? For the NASDAQ. What does it mean? If you take out 2000, which is the dot-com bubble, it's 100% bullish. 87, 94, 98, 24, 15, 22, 22. If you take this, but if you say this is similar to the dot-com bubble, this is what it looks like 1 year, 43%, 33%, right? I'm just saying, I don't think you can take this. This is the penultimate question for us. Penultimate question. Is this similar to the dot-com bubble? It sure is feeling like it, but that's what it looks like 1 year out. Just saying. Current NDX stocks after 1 year rate of change cycles. Not a good look. S&P after the NASDAQ 100 1 year rate goes from greater than 50% to less than 50%. Right? Doesn't happen often. Once again, is this like the dot-com bubble? If it is, S&P is down 14.8%. If it's not, it's going to be up robustly double digits by the end of the year, 6 months out, 1 year. I don't know. Ridex trying to curl up, it's the transports, baby. SPY, money coming in, coming out of the queues. Not a lot though. You really can't get excited. Heat maps reset, except the MLPs, XLP, yada, yada, yada. You know the drill, this can all stay extended. Dow, interesting, right? XLY, interesting. I like the XLY still, talked about it. We'll see what happens there. Tesla's going to determine one way or the other, right? And if you want to hedge Tesla, you hedge it with the XLY because it's 20% of it. The thing with Netflix is there really isn't an ETF to hedge it with. Okay, that's why I did the puts on it. Rosie, green, keep an eye on this. Okay, what I think, look, Europe's a shit show. You can't put lipstick on the pig. And the reality is it's probably money's going to coming into here, right? Here's the bonds. What can I tell you? Right. All right, let's have some fun here. Yields. Flattening. Down, down. Okay. Once again, my friends, this says it in a nutshell. Reversion to the mean, the Fed, you can look, this goes back to 1955. I cannot impress upon you enough, okay, that where we are in this cycle is just so light. This is the low end here, and that is 0.68. Oh, damn it. Sorry, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. From a point. 50% is 979. Let's humor this. Obviously, this should be the other way. But anyways, you can see 4.5 to 5% is where we should be. So Bullard and his 3.5% is so friggin' light, it's not even funny. 5 years starting to grind higher, you know the drill. Here's the 10-2, right? Starting to bounce, now pulling back a little bit. This is really interesting. I don't know if anybody's noticed this, maybe. Where we stopped right there. So that's kind of interesting. I find it interesting anyways. You can see if you extend it out. Anyways, I find that interesting. Here's the 2.5 rolling over. Here's the 10-year, grind, 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 grind. This is really interesting because if you notice, it's the Bollinger. The Bollinger hasn't even started to turn up yet in terms of, it's just starting to turn up, okay? I think that's interesting. All right, I'm gonna jump quickly to commodities, DBC, double top still in place. Natural gas, look at that, beautiful, toe tapped right there. I told you that's where you would buy, that's where I bought. Okay, USO, natural gas, DAX, sideways consolidation, it's trying to reclaim, this is really interesting. Still have some hedges on, FTSE still looks the best out there, but it never really rallied because, I mean, it's just catching up. FAS, this is a problem, right? Yeah, we're kind of pinned stuck. EFA, small caps, holding this extension, which is notable, right? EWZ, I'm waiting to get back into, I sold it up top here. I'm looking to get back into the Brazil, okay? Just so you know. CanWeb, shit show. FANG, interesting. Okay, this is where we are right now. We're down here, okay? It's trying to hold, right? This 6033 is important. It's trying to hold. FANG XLY, losing against XLY. This is why I like it. I think Tesla and I think Amazon are going to kick ass, and I think they're going to go higher. Netflix, shit show. All right. In a measured move, the last time this happened, my friends, I cannot tell you this, was in 2011. Tesla and Netflix went down 79.5%. Where does that get you? I said, we're going to the 140s, shutting it out. There you go. This is why. On a measured move, this is where Netflix should go on this yank. Even if we say down here, okay, look at this, down here. That's the 200 EMA and the monthly, 181. It's, I mean, in my head, 232, then the 130s. I mean, that's it. Netflix against Roku, getting smacked. Netflix against Disney, getting smacked. Netflix against the QQQs, getting smacked. Now, this is important, okay? In terms of on a rotation, this is a big deal. So what does this tell me? It tells me that I can actually, if this continues, we're at a key pivot point. I can be long the Qs and short Netflix if this fails right here. You can see it, well, I guess you can't see it. but you can see it right here. This is a key pivot we're at right now. Because if we break this, then we're going down to here. And that would be the narrative of Netflix going into the 130s. That's simple. Amazon against Netflix, kicking ass. Look at this. Beautiful. So these spreads are telling, you know the drill. What are these spreads? Even Facebook kicking ass against Netflix. So Netflix stay in the sun right now. I can be short just about anything within FANG, okay, and make money against Netflix. That's what it looks like. That's why I show you these things. Netflix against Apple, Qs against the XLY. I really like, this is going to be interesting, okay? The Qs are starting to outperform the XLY. And the reason why I say that's interesting is because if you look here, we did have a little pivot here. So it looks like we're going to bounce, right? The only way this would happen is if Tesla doesn't do well for earnings, but I'm just throwing it out. Like I say, XLY, I will have XLY puts on. Probably 1 month out, just as a hedge against my Amazon and my Tesla. That's how it works. Okay, SPY against XLY. There you go. Looks like it's bouncing here. So this is notable. The fact that the Qs and the SPY are starting to bounce off a key support tells me that I want to be in XLY puts. XLY against IWM, losing against IWM, notable.
All right, Beth, ready to pop on here.
All right, my friends, be well, enjoy.
All right, guys, thank you so much, Beth. Let me just pop up that screen share here. There we go. Okay, so if you guys are new to chat, have already done so, make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. Once you guys do pop into chat, it's going to look like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in, click on that new to chat information section, scroll to the very top and read it from top down. And even get inside of how everything works, all the rules, et cetera, et cetera. We'll go through that stuff in detail once we do close down the pre-market stream from YouTube. All right, pre-market tickers on watch, guys. A couple different things. What are we looking at today? Tesla, ASML, Antm, Netflix, Roku, AVLR. Tesla gapping up and stable through the market. ASML earnings beat, EPS and revs year over growth 6.9%. Q2 guidance lower, 2022 guidance raised. Stocks gapping up. Antm earnings beat, EPS and revs year over growth 17.6%. 2022 guidance raised. Stocks gapping up. Netflix earnings beat, EPS and revs guidance lowered first quarter with no sub growth since 2011. That was one of the big ones. Gapping down obviously on Netflix. Roku gapping down in sympathy with Netflix. Then AVLR FDA grants regenerative medicine advanced technology designation 2 under Alovir's Proclokia. I can't read this stuff, for prevention of multiple life-threatening infections. All right, that name is gapping up as well. Let's take a look at these names from a technical perspective intraday. So first two we're going to be looking at today, guys. It's going to be that Tesla and going to be that ASML. So let's pop those up and have a look. Do this. There we go. Okay, so Tesla, ASML. Let's have a look. Is Tesla nice continuation here? What we got on the daily? We got earnings today after the bell. Obviously, flag break to the upside. That looks great. Head and shoulders action to be tested. Okay, we got some room above that. Okay. So just making sure everything's lining up. Okay. So pivot to the upside today on Tesla is going to be this area right here. The 1042.42 spot, that level is able to hold. We're going to have room for a continuation towards that 1061 to 1079 on the upside. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards the 1024s to the 1004 on the downside. Overall, on Tesla, going to be bullish before its earnings today. I think you're going to see a continuation to the upside. So I'll be looking for a break of the pivot and a continuation push higher. That is Tesla. Let's take a look at ASML. All right, so stock's gapping up nicely here. 653 a share. So we're back above 50 MA support on the daily, or resistance, I should say. So it's back above it. All right, so 650.74 pivot to the upside today. This level was able to hold. Room towards 667.04 to 683.70. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback on ASML into the 637.96 to 619.45 on the downside. Overall leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today. So that's Tesla. That is ASML. All right, let's take a look at the next two names, guys. Antm and Netflix. I'm sure a lot of you are interested to see Netflix as well. Antm, let's take a look. Okay. That should suffice. Recent range high from last day, and then we're good to go. There we go. So pivot to the upside today on ASML, 526.83 level holds. You got room where it's 533.18 to 539.71. Unable to hold 520.48 to 515.51. Strong earnings, was flagging on the daily, did break the all-time high range to the upside. So I'm going to be leaning bullish, looking for continuation higher today. Typically, these types of names, when you get break to all-time highs on positive earnings with good guidance, you tend to see continuation on them when they do break those highs. So that is what I'll be looking for today. Continuation to the upside, essentially. All right. So that is Antm. Let's take a look at Netflix. All right, Netflix, guys, gapping down around 251 a share. Let's see. So obviously massive break to the downside. A growth name that's no longer growing is obviously a huge negative. Let's look at the PE on the name. I mean, it's realistically for a tech name like it is, it's not as expensive as typically would see. Actually fairly cheap. Of course, we need to wait for Basin in order to grab this thing long. Netflix. 60s should be okay. And then 234s. Okay, let's take a look at this again today. So Netflix obviously gapping to the downside today. Pivot to the downside is going to be this level 250.48. This level is unable to hold 242.04 to 230.20 will be tested on the downside. Being able to reclaim. Room towards 261.43 to 272.20 on the upside there. Overall on Tesla, not Tesla, Netflix going to be leaning bearish, neutral, looking for a continuation lower today. I don't think you're going to find a bottom today. And, don't try to pick bottoms on names like these guys. Wait till it's an obvious trend break. It starts to curl up. You're back above EMA support. If you're looking to take the thing long, if you're looking to grab long on an investment today, I would wait until you see that basing occur because it can go much lower and you can get a way better entry. So names where you get massive moves like this, there's typically capitulation, which is further selling of the name. So keep that in mind. All right, let's take a look at the next two, Roku and AVLR. We need to go slow, but pop it in intraday in a second here. Okay. Let's take a look at this intraday here. All right, Roku pivot to the downside today is going to be this level 110.02. Levels unable to hold. We're going to have room for continuation towards 105 at 98 support to 102.84. Able to hold. We look for pushback towards the 115.53 to that 120.27 level on the upside. Overall on Roku, going to be leaning on the bearish side today. Looking for a continuation lower. I think it could continue to sell off and sympathy with Netflix there. So we'll see what happens in that regard. So let's take a screenshot of this. Sorry, let's close that. Let's take a look at this ALVR. It's a smaller name gapping up on that FDA news. I mean, granted designation by FDA hasn't been holding up lately, FYI, guys. Typically, they do come in at some point, so we'll have probably be leaning on the bearish neutral side, looking for a topping type of move on this. That's the play. Let's see. Take a look at this thing intraday here. All right, 694 pivot. This level is able to hold. You got room towards 778 to 853. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 625 to 590, sorry, 568 on the downside. Overall on ALVR, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side out the gate, leaning bearish overall. We're looking for pop out the gate, I should say, and then topping to take the name on the short side. That's Roku, that's ALVR. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. So market guys obviously pushing to the upside here, gapping up, and I'm going to show you the daily chart. As obviously we had some big levels that were reclaimed yesterday. I was talking about this. So what do we got on the daily? Obviously, it's a flag break, downtrend break here, back above all EMA support and range resistance in the short term, which is fantastic to see. We're gapping up to around about 446 a share. How extended are we? We're a little bit extended to the upside, but I think we can continue to squeeze based off of the chart. And this is a huge reversal that's set up here. Beautiful. Maybe to the upside today, 447.39. Levels able to hold to get room towards 450.85 to 453.91. So quite a bit of room higher. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 441.51 to the 438.05 level on the downside. Going to be leading a little bit on the bullish neutral side out the gate, looking for a pop. And then I do think we will come in and probably retest that range breakout resistance level as well as the 50 MA. So I guess I'll be leaning more on the bearish side, looking for a pop out the gate and then a pullback towards, 44.84, basically 44 level, which will be a retest of the 50 MA. So leaning bearish, looking for a pop and then a pullback. I think we hugged the upper end of the range from yesterday on the SPY though. So it's not like truly bearish, it's just going to be a retest of the breakout. I do like to look at Apple here. That looks great. So 50 MA is going to be the pivot to the upside today, 168.40. This level is able to hold towards 170.32 to 171.84. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards the 166.81 to 165.59 on the downside. Going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side of Apple today, looking for a continuation higher. Okay. Pivot to the upside today on Amazon, 31.74 levels able to hold to get room towards 32.12 to 32.61. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards the 31.30 support. That level breaks 30.91 on the downside will be tested. I like the obviously the flag break off the lows. And the downtrend break, EMA support reclaim. Amazon looks good to push higher, in my opinion here. So I'll be leaning on the bullish side, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. That is Amazon. Let's take a look at Netflix here. Sorry, Netflix we've done, of course. Facebook. So I had a pretty decent hold on this pullback, and it didn't really pull back much. I like Facebook off the lows right now. You got the downtrend break at the short-term EMA support reclaim, and you do have room towards that 50 EMA before earnings. So 214.78 going to be the pivot to the upside today. That level holds. 219.21 will be tested. Unable to hold 211.39 to the 208.83 on the downside will be tested. Overall on Facebook, leaning bullish, neutral, looking for a continuation push higher today if that pivot point can't hold. So if pivot point holds, I think we can get that next leg up. Simply put. 26.19 pivots to the upside today on Google. Levels able to hold to get rid towards 26.65. Unable to hold 25.90 to the 25.46 on the downside. Again, you got a downtrend break, trying to make a reversal at the moment. Needs to get above this range at 26.19, and we should see that reversal occur. It's a decent looking chart though. So that is Google. Let's take a look at the VIX, Qs, and IWM here. $20.20 pivot level holds. 21.16 to the 22.51 will be tested. Unable to hold. We got room towards 19.28. Not leaning any particular direction, but I will say the VIX is extended to the downside on the daily. Doesn't mean doesn't mean it needs to fill, because extensions on the VIX typically don't fill the first day, especially to the downside. So I don't think it's a huge deal, but it is worth noting, and we do need to pay attention to that pivot point right out the gate. Will give us a little bit of direction pretty quickly. And as well, obviously, if the downtrend breaks after the morning open on the SPY, then you would expect a reversal in the short term. So that is VIX. Let's take a look at the Qs. Uh, 346.37 pivot level holds. We're towards 350.38. Unable to hold 341.47 to the 337.58 on the downside will be tested. Overall on the Qs, going to be leaning I guess more on the bullish side at the moment. Daily chart's interesting because you're still below all this EMA support. You haven't reclaimed anything really. Inverted head and shoulders is holding. It's not extended, so I don't think it really needs to pull back. If it does, I think it's going to be pretty small. But yeah, going to be leaning on the bullish, more on the bullish side there. Whoops. Screenshot this. Let's take a look at IWM here. All right, IWM, let's have a look. Similar to the Qs, a little bit better looking because it's above EMA support in the short term. What do we got? We got a reclaim of the 13 on the daily. Downtrend is broken and room back towards that 50 MA, which I think it actually might be above at the moment. 203.11. It's right at it. Okay, so let's do this. That's fine. 203.12. Close enough. All right, IWM. 203.12 pivots to the upside today. Level was able to hold. 204.73 will be tested. Unable to hold 201.12 with 197.46 on the downside. Overall, on that IWM, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side as well today, looking for a push higher. Only if that pivot point can hold, aka that 50 EMA on the daily.
Do you have a level above that 204.73, please?
204.73.
No, above that.
I didn't give a level, but
It's because it's close. That's why.
207.03.
207.03. Thank you.
So that's the SPY, that's the thing. Those are the individual names we're looking at today, guys. I'm gonna go also take a look at Bitcoin real quick, just because we got about a minute here. Change. So Bitcoin coming off the lows, a little bit of an uptrend actually being reclaimed in the short term. It also has to retest this uptrend at some point, but it does have room to get there. 50 MA at 42.63.0. So that's going to be the big level today that be tested. Obviously, if that's reclaimed, I think you get a straight shot back towards 44.800, 44.800 on the daily, as well as that will be right towards that uptrend break off the lows being a retest there. So we'll see what happens. That could be an interesting one to watch. If you look at Ethereum, should be something quite similar. That was actually quite a nicer chart. 50 MA held, EMA support holding on the daily, range break off of the 31.62 area. So it's getting into that level. Overall on the daily, looks pretty good for continuation back towards the recent range high, 377.90 to the 3,400 level, I guess, above that on continuation. So I'd keep an eye on that as well in the short term, because it is setting up for a move off the lows. And it looks quite good to me, in my opinion. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead, guys. Like I said, pass over to South Beach now for a little bit. While I type up the pre-market action plan, that'll come back on once I'm done, and we'll go through everything again. South Beach, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Morning, guys. I'm a little surprised the futures are up so much today after some of the damage we see, but let's go over it, okay? Let's start with the bonds. Flat, minus 0.017. So we're really at the highs. Let's call it the way it is. I think the high yesterday was 291. So we're just pushing against those highs. 2-year up a little bit. So the spread narrows somewhat. We're still at what, 29? It was 34 yesterday. Got to keep an eye on that. Not as good for banks. So maybe the banks aren't the good group today. All right, so that's what it is. All right, looking overseas in Europe, rates are down pretty much across the board. They've had a big spike in the last, week or so, as have we. So they hit almost 2% for London. They're at 191. But by and large, rates are down right across the board. London, Germany, it's down 0.06 to 86, et cetera, et cetera. So the spot market's a little weaker today. Had a good run. Things don't go in a straight line. We'll see what happens when the Fed comes. Soon enough, it'll be 50. I doubt they would do 75. But they'll probably do, a few 50s, and we'll see how it goes. All right. Meanwhile, they're doing their best to jawbone the market down. And there is no Fed put at the moment, right? All right, so let's look at some other stuff. The commodities, we got oil hanging above 100. Groups up this morning, no surprise there. Gas is down a little bit. What it hit, $8 or something like that, a little less, 7.75. It's down to 7.17. Okay, still in a great uptrend. I don't think that's changing anytime soon, to be honest. Looking at the metals, gold, it's once again failed at the 2,000 level. Maybe the third time will be the charm. Silver down a little bit, copper, so on and so forth. The agricultural commodities are all up again. Wheat's up, corn's up. Corn broke out the other day, right? It looks great. Lumber making another move. This cotton move is concerning with the price of clothing. That's gone up quite a bit as well. Pretty much everything's up in the commodity sector, right? Currency-wise, dollars mixed against North America. It's down against the yen. That's something we haven't seen in a while. Yen has gotten smoked because of their rates, right? Chinese currency, we made a really good move off the bottom. I think we were trading at like 630. Now we're up to almost 640. So that's a big move in the currency world, guys. It was pegged at 7 forever. When it went off that peg, you saw what happened. So now we're at 641 in the middle. Europe, the euro's gotten smashed. They need, I don't know what they need. I think, listen, I'm not a huge fan of the European economies. What can I tell you? 108, that's really gotten smoked. I think it was like 114 not too long ago. Whatever. So I'm going to Europe, so that'll help a little bit, I guess. The ruble's been, back to the level pre the war, and I don't think the ruble matters because no one really cares about the ruble. The Russians, to be perfectly frank. And let's look at the foreign markets. Okay, so you have FTSE flat. The DAX is up 1.25%. Nikkei overnight was up 1%. The Chinese market continues to be cleaning up the rear, so to speak. It's been really crappy. China's down, 1%? Hong Kong's down again. Those markets stink. All right, it's really hard to have a capitalistic system when your overriding system is communist, and that's the way it is. So to me, I want nothing to do with these stocks. I'll trade them. I wouldn't own them, and that's not changing, unless maybe Xi is history. And we'll see what happens with that in October, November. The truth is, it wouldn't surprise me if he gave him the boot, to be honest. But we'll see. All right, so that's that. All right, that's the setup. Okay, banks Fed. You had, what's his name on the other day, the hawk. You guys know who I'm talking about, St. Louis Fed guy. Talking 75 basis points maybe. The Fed's going to do what they need. Thanks, Beth. So the Fed's going to do what they need to do to get inflation under control, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, if it doesn't go well, they'll just continue to raise rates. All right, that's their job. That's what they're going to do. Okay, as far as China came out with a couple of statements today. Taiwan is part of China. This is a fact that no one can change. I think clearly they want to get Taiwan part of China. When they do it, who knows? I think we got to work real fast to bring semiconductor manufacturing to the U.S. before that happens. It's an eventuality, I think. And what else did they say? They are in Russia or Kundala. Okay, so like I keep saying, the red. What is that noise? You got the red team and the blue team, and it's clear delineation, right? Europe, US, a bunch of other countries, NATO, etc. On one side, you got China, Russia, Iran, the cast of characters. Okay, on the other side, and we'll see how it plays out. All right, I think we all need each other, but we'll see what happens if we don't coexist, and we'll see. I mean, it doesn't. The setup is not great for global cooperation. That's for sure. I think that ship is definitely leaving port. So that's that, right? So China, Russia's got their new offensive going on. It looks like they're going to try to take that eastern area of Ukraine and walk away like with a partial victory, but who knows how long it's going to take, or if they'll be able to do it, or whatever. We'll see. Meanwhile, we keep giving new arms to the Ukraine, and hopefully the damage will be limited. Doesn't look like it will be, but hopefully. So that's that. Crypto, nothing new there. Oil we discussed. The virus. What did Scott Gottlieb say? He said that the Biden administration won't actually go after that court ruling, which banned, took that mask mandate away on air travel. He doesn't think they go after that. I don't think they do either. The airlines don't want it. People don't want it. And a lot of people are getting COVID. My daughter's family, every one of them has it. My best friend in New York has it, his wife has it, his kids have it. It's just everywhere. But no, but it's mild, you know, you have a 5-day, my sister-in-law has it, a 5-day flu or so, and it's not even that bad. So I think it's part of what's going on these days. Okay. And if you get it, you get it. And that's that. I mean, I almost want it because I have to go to Europe in a month or so, and I want to get it out of the way. So hopefully maybe I'll get it and it won't be so bad. Anyway, that's that. All right. So Mr. Market yesterday, you know, I was talking in the morning about, you know, you have to sell the rallies and, you know, they turn directions. And sure enough, yesterday was the day that defied that. Okay. It was a straight up affair from the get-go. You know, came off a little at the end of the day when they saw those earnings from Netflix, and then they popped right back up again. So that's that. Okay, so we had the Dow up 500, S&P's 50, NASDAQ to almost 200, Dow Jones Transport's up 400. Okay, so on the negative side, you had big oil and E&P, fertilizer, gold and silver. On the positive side, you had, you know, high PE tech and home builders, hotels, banks, EV, semis, etc. Okay, so that was yesterday. So today, what do we have? First order of business is Netflix. And before we get into Netflix, there was an analyst on TV, one of the few analysts that I respect, from MoffettNathanson. I tell you, these guys are really good at entertainment stocks. And he said something really interesting that I think we need to think about, okay? He said, in talking about Netflix, he said, but I think this goes with high PE tech. I think it goes with all the entertainment stocks. And it's a really interesting thought, all right? He says, when a growth stock isn't a growth stock anymore and it becomes a value stock, okay? So he referred to Netflix. He says it's no longer a growth stock. It's now a value stock, but it's too expensive to be value. And I think there's a lot of stocks that pulled demand forward during the pandemic. And going forward, their growth rate is going to be greatly diminished because they pulled forward a lot of the growth. And so when do these growth stocks and what PE do they need to trade at to entice value guys? And I think there's a lot of stocks that are in that camp, all right? All the high PE tech stocks, most of the FANG stocks, certainly, you know, these Netflixes of the world and so on, are in the process of becoming not growth stocks, but value stocks. And when do we pull the trigger that they're value stocks? Because in the interim, guys get their face smashed in. Okay, and that's a really interesting thought. I don't have the answer, but I think each of you need to think about that as where are these stocks actually going to stop going down? And I think that's pretty interesting question. All right, and I think that's really the question of the day, not the question of the day, the question of the next 2 years. Okay, because so much demand was pulled forward for so many of these stocks, and their growth rate going forward is not going to be any great shakes. So are they growth stocks? Are they value stocks? And if they're value stocks, where do they become value? Interesting. I find it interesting. I don't know if you guys do, but I think that's the gazillion-dollar question. And that is the big question overhanging this market. That's how I see it. All right. What else came out today? BMW has a new electric 7 series. You know, all these guys are coming out with electric cars, but do we have the grid? Do we have the ability to make batteries? There was one guy yesterday, one of the EV guys, say we're not even close, and it's going to be a real shit show. And I think that's interesting. That's why I don't like Rivian. That's why I don't like Lucid. Okay. All these, what do they call it? Grandfather auto companies, or whatever you want, what phrase you want to call them, the BMWs, the Mercedes, the GMs, the Fords, they have so much money. I mean, Tesla was a different animal, but these new guys who are coming on, what do they have that's so special? I think the real money is going to be made in the stuff, the radar, a better battery, not the car companies. I think Rivian and Lucid are an absolute sideshow that are meaningless. And that's that. What else do we have? Twitter, we'll see what he does today. My guess is he makes a tender offer. Okay, he's got nothing to lose. Why wouldn't he? All right, and then he goes to court to get rid of the poison pill, and then he kicks out management, and that's that. We'll see. The other tender thing that's interesting is Kohl's. They've been supposed to making a bid for this company for what, a month, and nothing, which means to me they don't really want to make a bid. They're trying to get someone else to make a bid, and so far, not so good. No one else seems to be stepping up to the plate. And I don't know what's going to happen in this thing, but it's just taking too long, in my opinion. So that's Kohl's. Earnings today, you had positive earnings from LAD, which is a automobile dealership business. ASML, which is a semiconductor business. The semis are higher. Anthem, HMO stocks are higher. LRN, IBM had good numbers. Procter, consumer non-durable, they're a little bit higher this morning. MATX, MTB is a bank. Special bank, but a bank. So those were all good. ALVR had positive FDA news. VSCO is coming out with a kind of a tweens brand, they call it. I don't know what age that is, tweens. I guess that's, I don't know. What's tweens? That's the place next to New York City, Queens, right? I don't know. GTE, Lulu, they did come out with their 5-year growth outlook. They did have the, give a, they want to double revenues in the next 5 years, stocks up on that. And that was the positives. Okay, on the short side, we had Netflix. Okay, totally not a surprise. All right, you have too many guys in this business fighting for less discretionary time. And my guess is they all lose. All right, I've been saying that, and I continue to say that. And Netflix, I thought WBD would be fine. I sold it yesterday after hours, down 20 cents or so. But this whole group, Disney, Paramount Plus, WBD, Netflix, Roku, I mean, Amazon's in that business, Apple's in that business. Those two don't really depend on the business, but there's what you got, HMO, HBO Max. You have so many different things you can listen to and watch that I don't know how they're going to get traction. Hulu, I mean, there's so much crap. You don't know what to watch. Okay, so I think they're beating the crap out of each other. Disney said they're going to spend $30 billion on content. It's hard to compete with that. So there's less eyeballs, less time, and more offerings. Not a great combination if you're in that business. And I think this group is in trouble. All right, so you had that. What else was on the negative side? BKR missed, which is a little surprising. They're a driller. IBKR missed, CMA. Abbott Labs missed. That's down a little bit. Roku, Para, Diz, Fubo, WBD, all down in sympathy with Netflix. Teva had a negative FDA situation. Earnings tonight, we have Carvana, which certainly will move. LRCX, the big semi equipment company. Tesla is tonight. Delta, not this is wrong. UAL is tonight, and CSX, the big rail, is tonight. Tomorrow before the opening, we have a couple of airlines. We have Alaska and American. We have Dow Chemical. We have Nucor, a favorite of mine. PM, UNP, Xerox. Those are the names. Okay. Syndicate, we have one deal today, HLLY. Kathy bought VLD and NU. She's buying this DNA, which has been a real pig. And I just, I see the holders in this stock and they're pretty good guys. So I just don't like biotech and I don't like SPACs, but I mean, she keeps going to the well in that one. So I think that's interesting. As far as research today, listen, these guys at Netflix, it's just it's just very indicative of the quality of these guys. There was one guy who got it right, Needham. they had a sell on Netflix and they raised it to a equal weight or something like that. All right, every one of these guys missed it. What can I tell you, guys? They suck. In capital bold letters, as bold as you can make them. These guys will take your money away. When something goes up, they recommend it. When something goes down, they ignore it until they shit the bed, and then they finally get religion and downgrade the stock. So you got 12 guys or 15 guys reducing their target in Netflix. All but one was blindsided. You know, what can you say? What can you say? I mean, I've been telling you this for a long time. This is just indicative of the quality of Wall Street research. Okay. Apart from that, Morgan Stanley reiterates the sell on letter W and reduces the target to 90. Stock's 106. If you like their research, I don't like any of these guys. I just don't listen to them. Okay. Yeah. Bank of America, Netflix, buy to sell. Typical. Anything else? VLDA, Goldman has a sell on that one. They take the target from 3 to 2. Big deal. And a couple of guys were looking at the semiconductors. Most of them reiterate the buys and reduce the targets. That's very typical. So we see that. Who was doing that today? Deutsche Bank. All right. Down, you know, NVDA, NTPI, Marvell, ON. They reduce the targets, reiterate the Qualcomm, etc. 210 to 190. Qualcomm, you know, basically right across the board. So that was that. Tilray, you know, I hate this company. They Barclays takes the target from 850 to 450. Stocks what, 5 and change. Stocks a complete piece of garbage. What else? Yeah, let's look at the ones that matter. Okay. Well, first of all, there's a new analyst at Citi, so he initiated a lot of these high PE FANG-like names, like Peloton. He likes target 36. Google, he likes target 3,500. Amazon 4,100. BKNG, etc., etc. Facebook, etc. He likes them all. All right. This call on Cano Health, target 15 over at UBS, I thought was interesting. And remember, there was an activist in the name, one of these like Third Point or something like that involved. So I thought that was interesting. Other than that, we'll see. Okay, stay away from entertainment stocks. I don't know what the bottom is, but they're going lower. It feels like the material stocks are going to be for sale today. Chinese stocks will continue to be for sale. And maybe you get a good bounce in semis on the good number, or HMOs, hospital stocks, and retail. I think there's value there. Okay, and that's it for me. So Spartan, it's all yours, bud.
All righty, thank you, South Beach guys. Morning, what's going on? So let's do a quick little recap of what we talked about this morning, guys. If you're new to chat, make sure to click that Discord link that's emailed to you. When you do pop into the Discord, it's going to look like this. You're going to see all the alert sections, etc. Go to the new to chat information section, click on and read from the top down, and you should get a good sense of how things work. We'll go through that in just a little bit as well. All right, let's take a look at what we got going on today, guys. Pre-market tickers on watch. And if you guys are watching the YouTube stream, haven't already done so, make sure to click that free Discord link in the description there. You'll pop into Discord and you will have this information as well. I did post it for today. Pre-market tickers on watch, though, a couple different things. Everything's posted, all the charts, etc. Tesla, ASML, Antm, Netflix, Roku, Avler. Tesla gapping up specifically the market. ASML earnings beat, EPS and revs year-over-year growth 6.9%. Q2 guidance lower, 2022 guidance raised. Stock is gapping up. Antm earnings beat, EPS and revs year-over-year growth 17.6%. 2022 guidance raised. Stocks gapping up. Netflix earnings earnings beat, EPS and revs. Guidance lowered. First quarter with no sub growth since 2011. Obviously gapping down. Roku gapping down in sympathy with Netflix, and Avler got FDA grants for regenerative medicine advanced technologies designation for one of their drugs. All right, let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint. Intraday, first two that we're going to be looking at today, guys, are Tesla and ASML. Tesla 1042.42 pivot to the upside today. Levels able to hold towards 1061 to 1079. Unable to hold 1024 to the 1004 level on the downside will be tested. Overall on Tesla leaning bullish, neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. ASML 650.74 pivot level hold 667.04 to 683.70 will be tested. Unable to hold 637.96 to 619.45 on the downside. Overall on ASML leaning bullish, neutral on that name as well. Let's take a look at Antm. Let's take a look at Netflix. Antm 526.83 pivot level holds 533.18 to 539.71 will be tested. Unable to hold 520.48 to 515.51 on the downside. Overall on Antm leaning bullish, neutral there. Netflix pivot 250.48. This all was able to hold towards 261.43 to 272.20. Unable to hold 242.04 to 230.20. I'm leaning bearish, looking for capitulation today, aka more selling on the downside, and then maybe we got a curl at the end of the day or in the middle, but it does look quite heavy at the moment. Roku and AVLR or ALVR, sorry. Roku pivot 110.02, levels unable to hold. We got towards 105.98 to 102.84. That level is able to hold. We look for pushback towards 115.53 to the 120.27 level on the upside. Overall on Roku leaning on the bearish neutral side today. Then ALVR, I keep saying it wrong. 694 pivot level hold 778 to 853 will be tested. Unable to hold 625 to 568 on the downside, leaning bearish, looking for a pop and then topping on that name today. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG market. What do we got going on here? Obviously a nice little gap up. We're still holding above the 50 EMA on the daily, which is great. EMA support all reclaimed and downtrends broken. 447.39 pivot to the upside today. This level holds room higher into the 450.85 resistance breaks. We see the 453.91 tested. Pivot unable to hold, room lower into the 444.84 support breaks. We see the 441.51 level tested. Going to be leaning on the bearish side today. Sorry, leaning bullish. Okay, then looking for pullback and breakout test. So basically, I want to see a push out of the gate, little pop, and then a pullback and a breakout retest. I'm not really leaning bearish, but I do think it needs to come back, retest it for confirmation, and then we can see, you know, what's what after that, aka if we're going to get continuation higher. So that's my thoughts, at least. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm obviously just going to be trading the charts. Apple, let's take a look at that. Pivot to the upside today, 168.40. This level is able to hold. It was 170.32 to 171.84. Unable to hold 166.81 to 165.59. On the downside will be tested. Overall, going to be leaning bullish on Apple, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon pivot to the upside today is the 31.74 level holds 32.12 to 32.61 will be tested. Unable to hold 31.30 to 30.91, leaning bullish neutral there. Netflix, we talked about that. Let's take a look at Facebook. Pivot 314.78 level hold towards 219. Unable to hold 211.39 on the downside, leaning bullish on that. And looking at Google now, coming off the lows, a little bit of a range break testing to the upside here. Pivot to the upside is going to be 26.19 level holds, 26.65 will be tested. Unable to hold 25.90 to 25.46 tested. Unable to hold 31.30 there. Let's take a look at the VIX Qs Netflix. We talked about that. Let's take a look at Facebook. VIX 2020 pivot level holds 21.16 to 22.51 tested. Unable to hold 19.28 on the downside. Not leaning any particular direction, but we do need to know that the VIX is extended on the downside on the daily. Pivot to the QQQs 346.37 pivot level holds. Room towards 350.38. Unable to hold 341.47 to 337.58 on the downside, leading bullish neutral there. And then last but not least, IWM guys. Let's take a look at the VIX Qs. Pivot to the upside today is 203.12 level holds, 204.73 will be tested. Unable to hold 201.12 to 197.46, and that all depends on the pivot. That level is able to hold. We should be able to see a push higher, and I'm going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side there. All right, so that's the SPY, that's the FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. Like I said, if you're watching the YouTube stream, click that free Discord link in the information section on the YouTube stream. Pop in, and otherwise, thanks for watching. We do this every single Wednesday.